you know. Okay, so I have made this one a little bigger than the past few, but you're welcome to do this smaller or bigger. I just felt like there weren't as many specific objects there, so it might work to get a bigger shape. And of course, our big challenge is we have these whites kind of sprinkled in between these other things that are going on. So I wanted to talk very specifically about how one might handle that in watercolor, right? That's a very different, um, it's kind of a challenge. And the way to think about it, so I'm going to sketch it here, and I'm going to sketch it and also. So we've got this here. I'm going to put this here for a second, because of course we'll start with the darks. Is not to think about these individual flowers, but to think about them more in groups. So here is my suggestion. I'm going to have you kind of, sketch out shapes like this. And we're going to gradually kind of, maybe a couple of individual flowers, like maybe here, here, here. The ones that are in front, notice, are the ones that I'm doing. Notice as you go back, it becomes much, just like when we did wildflowers in the field, it becomes much more kind of like a unified mass. So back here, we're going to be.
Oh, yes.
Right? So this is how I think the best way to handle this is. I'm giving you these groups, and I want you to sketch these shapes. And I'll show you, I'm not going to leave you hanging on this. We're going to do this all together. But I really feel like we're going to focus on, just like in all painting, we don't focus on every blade of grass. We don't focus on every flower. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then maybe 6, 7 flowers that we might do individually. We'll talk about what that is. We did this yesterday when we were working on drawing a baboon in beginning drawing. And then, of course, here I am sketching out also your poppies. Notice that the value of the poppies, I find this interesting, that the value of the poppies is so much like the value of the grass when you turn it to a black and white. There's these kind of blue flowers. Yeah, we can't even, some of them we can't even see. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just sketching in.
Leah, is it again 5x7 or an A4 size?
This is I'm doing mine as an 8x10, but you could do 5x7 if you want to.
Okay.
This one's a little bit simpler. There's less structures, right? Yeah. We don't, you can be kind of, I decided to go, I was like, why am I deciding to go bigger on this one? And I think I decided to go bigger because there's less structure here. So it's kind of easier maybe to deal with these shapes as bigger shapes. Very hard to even see where these are. There's blue here, there's blue there. Yeah, I actually have to look at my color version to be able to see my blues. There's this kind of structure here. Here. And then of course, we have this area with the grasses up here. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start by layering in. What we're gonna do is layer in our darks slowly. So we're gonna keep this area light to the beginning until we get, you know, more details in. Everywhere is bigger circles. These bigger circles those are blues. So does this make sense? We're not dealing with every flower. We're dealing with kind of groups. And we're looking at areas where light meets dark. Okay, so that's a little hard to see over here. I'm going to take a picture. And I don't know why. Oh yeah, there we go. I'm still going to take a picture of it though. Send it over. So our first sketch, we're just going to be sketching out these shapes very lightly in pencil. I don't think we need a grid for this. I'll get there in just a second. You can do this small or you can do this big. I'm doing this as an 8x10 today. But you, of course, are welcome to work any size you want. Huh. Sunny's like, hello. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna put this over here. Yeah, that blue light does help. And I'm gonna take my pencil and kind of across the top of the page lightly sketch out this. I'm gonna leave it blank. Whoops, can't really even kind of a little darker. And then here, I'm gonna start, actually, before I get in my blues, I'm gonna get in these kind of bigger shapes, right? So this is the whites, how they interact with the grass in the background. Poppy, there's a poppy here. There's another group here. There's another group of whites here. Notice how a lot of times these whites are actually bordered by the poppy. Get up here. Pretty good. Then we've got so really we're starting with this series of kind of connected blocks. This is why I'm like, nobody would ever, unless you're taught to do this, this is not a normal way of thinking. It seems weird. Right? Okay. I'm going to add the blue flowers in this single, the single whites last. Notice that these flowers are not necessarily circular, like a perfectly round circle. Pay attention to their actual shape. This one is like a half. This one's kind of like a cupcake. This one's like an oval. They're not all the same size. I might add this here. With a little like fried eggs. We're not getting too many, and then you kind of add in the blues. We're going to leave this for now. Deal with it later. There's a big blue here. There's kind of Some of these are a little bit more half, circle shapes. If you don't get it in exactly, like no one would really believe this. Wouldn't believe this is the way to do it. Drawing and painting is really, that's why I find it so interesting. If you want to, you can add the sort of lighter and darker shapes of the poppies as you see them. Right? There's not that many poppies, so that's not too hard thing to do. I'm going a little fast. You do not have to go as fast as I do. We take our time here. I'm just trying to, it's done. I can look for it. I think poppies are really fun to paint because they have these dramatic lights and darks. Folds. That one has this really cool shadow pattern. Poppies aren't so symmetrical. That's why they're kind of fun, I think. Yeah. I don't want to put in everyone because I don't want to get you guys in that zone. I want to put in you. Notice I'm not drawing them all the same. I'm actually looking at the shapes and I'm trying to kind of add in the smalls and the large as I see them. I'm actually looking at the source to see what that looks like. Here, I'm going to take a picture of this because it's a little hard to see here. Lighting. I don't really get lost in this. So go ahead and send this in when you've got your sketching. So you see, the sketch itself is not so complicated. It's going to be more about how we layer colors in. Start cleaning out. refreshing up, and you can't really do this because I can't really show both these things on the screen at the same time, but I'm refreshing up my colors that I think we're going to need. Definitely ultramarine and phthalo blue, definitely viridian green, definitely cadmium red and quinacridone red. Or, you know, your variations of what you've learned to use. Yellows. Okay. Everything needs to be popped up. Take a picture of the palettes so you can see it. But yeah, take your time. Get into the zone of the drawing. If you have a little bit of time, you can kind of come in. You'll see that there's little subgroups within where sort of flowers are clustered together and then there's spaces. If you want to, you can add in a few of those, like these are kind of together. This one is big and kind of over here. You can. You don't need to. Maybe it's good to do it actually as the flowers get kind of closer to you. Try not to make all your flowers look the same. Look at what the flowers look like. Because we're going to build this up using a series of washes. Starting from really light. But the less you think of them as flowers and the more you think of them as little shapes. Better off. By the way, so those of you who are in India, particularly, I'm going to start it next week, starting in July. The Saturday class is going to start at 9 a.m. my time, which will make it a little bit earlier for you. So doable. It's the same time as Marie's class, starts on Sunday. 10:30. I can't really start it at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, my time. Yeah, but like I can do 9 instead of 9:30. So it's possible you'll be able to jump in.
Just to Leah, hi, it's Emma.
Hi, Emma.
Just to let you know, I'm basically in the place where I took the photo. So I have not exactly the same feel, but I'm not at home. So I have suboptimal conditions. So I'm trying my best, but I have one pencil, I have one brush and no rubber. So.
That's perfect. All right, so wonderful. You'll have to at some point show, I mean, I know we're working on where you are, but we'd love to see a picture of, where are you? Are you at your cabin?
Yeah, I ran away from my children today. I had to get away from them.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Do they like it? Whoops.
That's me, sorry.
Because you got to...
Because I'm here twice, I'm leaving.
Yeah, he doesn't like more than one.
That's it, I'm back with the right one.
Hey, Tosh, you know this is a vertical, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you just sent that as a, got it.
Yeah, sometimes it does that on automatically. I don't know how to prevent that.
Nice to see you. Hey, Tosh, I am going to feature you as our student of the week next Monday in the newsletter. So I want you to send me your favorite pieces. I mean, I can pick something, but I want you to send me the pieces that you're most proud of. And unfortunately, they can't involve any new drawings because I don't think we can send those across companies.
Okay.
Because America is very Puritan.
Because America, right, is very stupidly pure. I'm so with you there, Sandra.
Thank you. I believe, is this Eva's doing?
What's that?
Is this Eva's doing that she recommended me?
Eva's doing. Very impressed. She's very impressed with what you, of course, as we all are. And I was kind of planning on featuring you anyway.
Thank you.
I've already, all of you will probably at some point or other get featured. I've already featured Emma. I've already featured Janet. I try to intersperse that with the teachers. So the new abstract art teacher, Marie, will probably go next. So don't be surprised if at some point I say to you, hey, I would like to feature your artwork. Because these newsletters I'm creating, I think will help get people excited about taking the classes. If we want BuzzFeed to re-up for another year, if we want Reuters to do that, we got to show up, right? So as many people as we can get in as possible. So Tosh, think about it. I'll take a look at your stuff too. I mean, I'm sure I can find something. Maybe it'll be this. Who knows?
Also, your hair looks wonderful. I can tell that I haven't been in class in a few days.
When I was just saying, I did not go to the hairstylist for 2 years, and the woman and my stylist was like, "So how short do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Pretty short." And she's like, she just without it, she's like, "I'm cutting off the bottom 5 inches of this before." She's like, "We're not even washing it." Clip on the floor. Like, it was quite fun. Feels really good. Somewhere I have a picture of myself as a 5-year-old with this hair. Here, I'll show it to you guys. We get there. Raj, I feel like these should be closer together. Do you see how these groups, there's less space down here? So maybe pull up, maybe just pull your tape up on the bottom to almost where this is. You're not gonna like
Okay.
this space.
Got it.
A good thing. So for those of you who are done, you can take your palette and start adding colors. So Needy, my suggestion is erase all of the inside marks you have in your red flowers, your poppies, except for the outlines between light and dark. You have little scrub, you sort of scrubbed it in here like this, because your red is gonna mix with that lead and look dull. So what you want is to create, right when you go like this, it looks, the lead will mix. I want you to get those out. Dang it, no, maybe can't get that out. All right, so, the idea is never to blend or fill in. We're doing outlines of things. Otherwise, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, but again, the idea is never to blend.
Right. The idea is never to shade with your pencil with watercolor. The idea is to outline,
right.
like
Yes, absolutely.
wood, like a stained glass piece, right?
It's just the outlines.
Just the outline, because the lead, although the lead could make some nice, you know, variation in texture, if you put lead in the center here and you try and put a red on top of it, you won't get the bright color that you want.
Right.
So I'm still in, when I start, I'm thinking really hard about this one, so I'm not as verbal as normal, because I'm thinking hard about it.
I have some construction thing going on. I'm going to mute myself, okay?
I can't hear it.
It's funny, we can always hear your husband, Annika, but we never really hear the construction. Your husband is loud.
Yeah, but he left. So this is actually someone building up the street. So that's it's like a drill. So I thought.
Yeah, there you go, Raj. That's better. Do you see how, like,
Stopping.
these, I want you to, although these this looks like a weird abstract design, really these have a relationship to each other, as does the space that we aren't filling out. So that's the important thing here, is to pay attention to how these, not just the shape itself, but how the shape fits with all the other shapes around it. Drawing is relational. It's the same with your whites, right? You don't want to color in your whites because this is going to stay white. So you don't want these all scrubby and gray. And I'm debating over whether, I think we will do a side. I'm going to do a little testing right now while you guys are there. I want to do it this side. No, not sure.
Maybe not worth it for the flowers.
Maybe on the grasses. I'm not sure I want to do it all the way across.
I always afraid it mutes the flowers.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
And
But
in fact, the last time I think we did poppies or something like this, Olga did two versions, one with and one without, and the one without looks better.
yeah, yeah. Although I think it'll be nice to get it in the grasses. I'm just going to test a couple. I'm going to put a couple swatches of gray up here. Here we go. Let them dry. And then I'm going to lay on stuff on top just to see. So this is a great way when you're not sure. It's awesome to like try it out. So I want to see how green looks on top. Right. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do a first eye on this one. Yep, nope. We're definitely gonna deal with these colors, and we're gonna layer lightly over. Curiosity. Orange base. Just kind of trying to determine if there is a base that would be a nice base to begin with, maybe, but yeah, probably not. We'll see. I'm trying burn sienna now, just to see how it looks. I want to see how the green looks on top. Yeah, even that kind of flattens. Yep, we're not doing it. Yep. You can see my testing marks up here. The brightest red is definitely the red that's not on top of something else. So we're gonna see that about the breeze. So, yeah, I think because there's so much green, does anybody still need to see? Well, you've got this on the WhatsApp thread, so you don't necessarily see this. I'm looking at the colors here. The green's fairly muted, actually. I think we're gonna lay in our green first in a very light way.
Hey.
So I'm trying to mix. We know this green needs a touch of red in it. We don't want to put too much in. We want to go light so we can kind of layer up. Is anybody ready to start talking about painting, to watch a demo? Okay, while you're drawing? Okay, great. All right, so I am, sorry. I am mixing in, I'm going to start this. I'm going to cover this up just for a second. So I'm kind of looking for a very light green that I can start to layer in over everything. And I want a green I don't want this, right? I don't want that. I don't want that bright color. That's not a natural color. I want a little bit of Vesperidian green, and then I'm adding just a tiny touch of cadmium red to it. Not too much, just a little bit. And then it's still fairly warm, so I'm gonna pick a yellow and add yellow in. So I get something that's a little bit kind of spring green like that, but remember, it's not electric green, right? Like we're not just doing green and yellow. We're definitely adding a tiny touch of red. And then we'll start with a bigger brush, kind of laying in that green color and sort of working around the flowers and the groups. So you see how I'm kind of laying this in. I'm going to put my brush and water. It's fairly light. I'm going to press it. Yeah, there we go. Up to this edge, it's fairly solid too. Actually, I'm just looking to see what's happening. Yep, I think we can actually go over this whole layer here. I'm going around the flowers. So it's strategy we're working on here. I can kind of go into the edge a little bit of these weird little shapes of white that I've made. I might actually, in some cases, put it in, but I still want to kind of maintain a light white. I'll drop more color in later and shape in later. So you see how I'm really going in. Now that we've worked with watercolor long enough, I think this probably makes more sense to you. And if you kind of outlined the flowers here, you can go right into this front blob and just go around the edge of the white flowers. Right, so just go around. So you can see I'm sometimes using the corner of my brush. I'm using a big brush, but I'm sometimes using the corner. And sometimes so everything starts with this like kind of super light, greeny wash. I use cadmium red, but you can try that, Rashmi. I use cadmium red, but you add a combination. Test it and see what you like. It's red, green, and yellow.
Okay.
So I like it that instinctively you're kind of going for the red, green, and yellow that you know, and you're trying to evaluate that. I use cadmium red, but you could totally use any of those things. So in truth, we're not exactly almost using the primary colors. You want to bring them up into these grasses a little bit. That's okay. Now, if I was using acrylic, I would totally do a layer on the top. In fact, we'd probably do this whole thing in burnt sienna as a base. Big surprise there. My favorite color. But because we've got watercolor, I'm going to keep this background. I'm really going to consider whether I want any color in the background. At all. Just because white space plays an important part in painting. I got a little darker down there, but that's okay. That area is pretty dark. And then we're gonna start adding in our flower colors and then darken around them, right? So a lot like the way we do other things here. I just want you to be able to see this. I know you've got the face. Maybe I can bring this down just a touch. So you can kind of see everything. I'll move this up or down, but I'd like you to watch my color mixing because I think that's the part that people really struggle with. Color mixing and application, right? It seems like a simple thing, the brush, but to get the brush to do what you want, it's a whole practice. So you can see that back here, there's a lot more light. I'm going to bring in darks, but I want to figure out how much, what I'm trying to do is figure out how much detail I want to get into. So as I add in my main centers of interest, which are these poppies and these things up here, then I start to see how much I want to lighten or darken everything else, darken everything else. That makes sense. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's my strategy. And as much as I can explain it, that's the strategy. When you're ready, go ahead, send in a couple.
Is your pup hyper as well?
It's her first day, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so, but she's like, no, she doesn't bark a lot. We took her out for a walk. Then also she was very friendly to the kids and everything.
But,
That's very nice.
But are you sure she has all her vaccinations so she can be out already?
Yeah, she has, it's like her one dose is done. Second dose is, we'll have to get it done next week.
Oh, then you can't have the dog out where it can sniff other dogs until 2 weeks after the second dose.
Oh.
You cannot do that. It can get parvo.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, do not do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you for.
All right.
Okay.
So she can go out.
You were trying to take it out.
Yeah, you can take it out where other dogs are, where other dogs have been.
Okay. Okay.
It can get really sick.
Yeah, Pabu, I've heard about it. It's a really bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. So.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to take her for the vaccination maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday. So she's
and then 2 weeks after that, she's fine.
Okay. But even for her toilet and all,
no, she must go out, right?
Yeah, she can go out, but she can't sniff around where other dogs are.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
No. Sorry, I'm gonna mute. This one is getting demanding.
This one is sleeping. She's more fond of my husband right now because she got a scolding from me. My husband is too gullible and doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say no, right? He's being the good parent. not happy.
Yeah. He's like the good one. I'm like the strict one. So yeah. But I think I don't know, like, I think she had some, I don't know if there was abuse or something, but yeah, she's like, she always wants one of us to be with her. She always sat, like, wants one of us to sit with her, or she just comes and sits where we are. I don't know. She doesn't like to be alone at all. So.
Oh, because, when they're puppies, they have many brothers and sisters and their mothers. So,
yeah.
So suddenly she feels very lonely.
So basically this one was abandoned twice.
Oh.
So the rescuer,
happy.
so the rescuer, so the rescuer found her in one of the, one of his, he went to his pet's vet, and there someone had dumped him, and it was the second time, and that's why she's like little bit,
Well,
and he can't have it because his dog is not able to adopt with her. So yeah.
Well, the third time she has landed in golden palace.
Yes.
That dog has landed in the golden palace.
It will never feel abandoned again.
Rashmi,
no. My husband has gone berserk. My husband is just behaving like as if we've having a child. He's in full daddy mode. He's ordered everything. We went for shopping, and I was stopping him, don't buy everything. He was like, no, she'll need this, she'll need that. Okay, she's gonna be a pampered child. But it's okay.
Some areas white, don't get any darker in these areas because there's some flowers that we're trying to preserve. So don't go any darker. Tosh Ween, that's beautiful. Anik, beautiful. Good job, you guys. Wonderful. Just be careful not to overdo it, right? You can probably get away with one layer of green, but I think some areas you're going to drift the green in rather than put it everywhere. Oops. All right. I'm not rushing this. Hang on. Why do we have to rush this? We do not have to rush anything. We have all summer to make beautiful things. All summer. I'll wait for a couple more people to send me samples and then we'll go on.
No.
So this way of constructing a painting is really about balancing elements, right? So it's about kind of layering in a background, and then we could have also started with the red flowers. We totally could have, but I kind of wanted to see how the red would look on this background of green before we got anywhere else. The next thing we're going to do is add the red and the blue flowers in, and then we're going to, and here I'm going to take pictures of the poppies so that you see the light and dark areas. So that's going to be important.
Sunny, no.
Sunny's just like, ah.
Yeah, exactly.
She has this like, ah.
It talks to her toys. She talks to her toys.
Oh, God, that's so cute.
Crazy. She's crazy.
Sunny has also landed in the Golden Palace.
Yeah, Sunny was also abandoned twice.
She's I can see she's like, for somebody who's like, I don't know, not prepared, she might be, she needs attention.
Well, do you know why, Diana?
Structure. Yeah, the one that had adopted her and turned her in, they couldn't deal with the infection when she was.
Oh, that's right.
She had a butcher job done when she was spayed.
So I'm sending in pictures of the poppies, which we're going to work on next. Kind of outline the medium areas. I know you can't really see them here, although I might be able to see them. So you can at least see these two. So as we start to work on the poppies, I'm absolutely going cadmium red with a touch of yellow. You can test the yellow. I'm using cadmium yellow to create kind of an orangey color. And I also cleaned up my palette here so that there's not a lot of green, which was something that I had mixed in. So I made sure I've got kind of a clean palette. I want to start with kind of an orangey yellow, which I can layer over on top of white. So I'll start with this kind of light yellow. I know it looks kind of meh right now, but we're going to be able to we want some of the light areas to come out. And then we'll use touches of green for the shadow areas, which are kind of down here. Over here, I'm doing this too. So we kind of want this to be our lightest layer. And then we put darker things on top once this dries. Fortunately, because it's so bloody hot out right now, unless you're in Australia, then it's winter.
And it doesn't get that cold.
Right, it doesn't get that cold. Probably particularly now. And I think cadmium red is really the way to go here. And then in the darker areas, like the lightest areas are kind of the edges of the flower. So you see how I'm going kind of darker here with more just red? It's a little bit dark in here. I'm letting some of those edges stay light. And then my last job is going to be to mix a little bit of viridian green and cad red together to get a dark kind of greenish, a very dark greenish color, which is what comes on the bottom and kind of highlights. Right, there's this shadow. Maybe I want cad red. Way too much there. Yeah, there we go. Try quinacridone and viridian green to sort of create, right? So not too much. You don't want to go too crazy here, but you do. This will be sort of the center of your poppy color, and also kind of this base in a couple of places. Yeah, where is Olga today? Olga, are you here?
She might be working.
Oh, all right.
She also have a writing class in the morning, so that sometimes conflict.
Not like Olga to miss.
No, it's true. She usually always shows up.
Usually always there. But summer is like that, right?
I don't think she's on vacation.
No.
So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm kind of looking for the darker shapes, right, with my darker red. I added a little yellow to this red. Up here. And here. back in and darken here. Now that's starting to look. It's taken like 3 layers to really get the level of what I want, you know, what I'm looking for here. And then I'm going back to my quinacridone red, viridian green base just to add a little bit of sort of green structure, but you know, green shadowy structure down here. Same here. You can see the center here. It's the only one probably we can actually see the center. We'll be able to use this later too. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. There's kind of light parts and dark parts of this flower. This is darker here. It would take me 3 layers to get to where I really want to be. Kind of vibrancy and brightness. Here. And then when you're done with your reds, and then the red-green little shadow that's on these 3, you'll look for blues. And to me, let's check. Hold on, let me clean out my palette here. It's kind of a bluey, purpley color. It's a lot of blue. Taking a little bit of quinacridone to create a sort of purple. I want it blue on the blue side, but not entirely blue. I think this would be a good base, but I want it a lot lighter. You notice I'm checking. Once again, I'm still, let's see that. There we go. Here's the testing area. Right. I want these at about this layer at the beginning, and I want them a little bit more purple, a little darker blue on the top layers. So everything is this kind of layering up. And while we want the green in here, we don't really want it mixing too much with the flowers because the green is really in front. The flowers are in front of the green, and while there's little bits of green in them, if we get too much in, it's going to kind of dilute the effect of our blues. These blues are kind of popped in. Here, let me send a picture of this because I know it's kind of tricky to see. Oh yeah, Annika, looking good. Always good to start light and then layer up. So let's get to, so these flowers, again, oops, that's not it. These red flowers, the flower itself is just red or red and yellow, right? Layers, we started with their orange base, no greens in them. The bottom of the flower here is viridian green and a little bit of quinacridone, like cool red. And the middle of the flower here, same color. Just to give it a little bit of a base. And this blue is just ultramarine blue and a little bit of quin red, you know, cool red. Lovely, Needy. Yes, see how nicely those are looking? Very nice. Nice, nice, nice. We're now gonna start, I'm sorry, let me wait a minute while I see some more pieces. We're not in the room. Nina, lovely. Ani, lovely. I like how Nina, I feel like you guys are getting very expressive with your mark making. Look how different all the people who have sent in their reds, look how different they are and yet how poppy-like they are. So I have a particular feeling about poppies. I feel like people often overdo them. Like I prefer I have a way I like to do them, usually in acrylic and oil, but what that translates over to watercolor. So I like this kind of loose stroke. And if you look at the difference between who sent theirs in, so we've got Ani, we've got Nina, and we've got Needy, and mine. So we've got 4 comparisons. They do not look the same, but they all look really lovely. So this is this moment of like, as long as you're paying attention to lights and darks, I'm really appreciating the kind of contemporary way you're dealing with this mark making and how different it can be. It's really neat. If anybody else has some secret hideaways they like, send me pictures, we'll do them. At this point, I feel like we've done all of a little bit of everything. You know, we can at some point move to figure watercolor painting if you want, drawing and painting if you want. We can move to faces if you want to. But really, I think we should just enjoy the summer of doing whatever we want. So I would encourage you. I know Shilpa sent me a kind of beachy scene. The one she sent looked hard, but I think we could find a variation on it. Let me see. You know, it's that sort of typical, let's see. Where is Shilpa today? Shilpa sent something like, you guys did a good job on that assignment last week. I'm just going through it as I'm going back to see what other things. So she had suggested something like this, right? And I feel like that's a little hard, but I could do something like this, you know, rocks with a light background with this sort of orange sunset. Does anybody have an interest in a scene like that? Yeah, no? But not with that big tree smack in the middle with all the different sky holes and all the details.
Yeah, that looks nice.
Yeah, something of that nature, maybe a beach scene, maybe pond.
Yeah, I'm really jealous of all the water, like waves and stuff that the pastel class is doing. Is that possible to do?
So how come you're not doing that class?
I think I started too late, so I feel like I don't know how. Like, is there a beginner video or something?
Every video is up there.
But
Is there should I just start with the very first one?
Start with the very first.
She gives instructions as though you don't know what you're doing.
All the way through. So you can all of these classes are designed so that anybody could jump in. But yeah, start in January.
Okay.
Maybe if you do the first one and then you can pick whichever subject you like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got intimidated to because I had a few classes where I didn't.
Where you struggled.
But anyway, the waves look really amazing.
Yeah, they do. They really do. Yeah, go back to the beginning class on any subject. So all classes started new on the YouTube channel in January. And there's other stuff before that, but like sort of a methodical, this is this class, you know what I mean? This is this subject. Yeah, start at the beginning, try, and then go forward. I don't know how many of you use the videos. Does any, I know Tashmeen uses them. I know Rashmi uses them. Does anybody else use the videos?
I've used one once and I'm planning to use another one.
Right. So you use them in spots when they're helpful to you, right? I know Hannah uses them a lot. I don't know if Nina uses them, but I know I've heard it, you know. So they're used, you know, these are definitely, this is free, you know, this is extra service. I mean, you don't get to have me helping you, but it's just like a recording of one of these classes, so. What paper are you using, Emma?
It's just a notebook. I don't have any proper paper here.
Oh, so, but what's the paper in the notebook?
I mean, it's just white paper. I don't really know what kind it is, but it's sort of the way the paint is sort of spreading on it is. It's not very absorbent.
Right.
You know, we do watercolor journals or whatever they're called. And they're like little books that you can carry with you, but they're watercolor paper for next time.
Yeah, I wasn't planning to be here, so it was I just had to take what I had.
But it's always fun to like do it and see what you can come up with and push through the uncomfortable parts where you're like, I'm not sure, and then see. Where you go with it. Remember, this is a long game, ladies and gentlemen.
Do we have any gentlemen?
Do we? Maybe
we might get some on the video, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. It's hilarious, though.
I'm still working on my lions.
Great. Send them over when you're ready. Not, you know, no rush. All right. Is anybody feeling ready to jump into starting to tackle those white flowers? So essentially, we're going to do the negative space kind of background. So what I want to start with are these kind of yellow. So notice I'm grabbing a little bit of green in my yellow. These yellow, oh, that's too green. Let's see. Yellow first. Oh, Emma, that's looking great. Yeah, you're doing great. Don't worry. Oh, Diana, that's really, they're coming along. They're lovely. You're doing good, Emma. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to start with kind of a yellow, and you have a choice about the yellows you want to use. Notice that if you look really close at these, you'll see that I'm going to do a close-up so you guys can see it. Yeah, it looks great. So if you can see these flowers have a kind of yellow top. The centers have a yellow top and a sort of darker base, right? If you look at them closely, you can see that. So what we're looking for in the ones that are in the front, we're going to start with yellow. And I've switched over to my little pointy brush for this. Just the centers, right? Not the outsides. The outsides are white. We're going to carve the outsides in with our dark green. We're going to carve in the outsides. But the tops here, just literally using a pale yellow here.
Yeah.
Fried eggs. And then I'm going to add a little bit of green, my green-red mixture to my yellow, and put a little bit of green at the base. You can wait till they dry to do this. So at the bottom, it'll be darker. And then taking my, do I still want to use that little brush? I think I do. We'll see. I'm going to take some slightly darker green, which has a little bit of red in it. And I'm going to kind of carve around the white shapes. See, like that. So that my whites kind of read as whites. And in a couple places, you may want to carve in, right? Not just make them all look like round circles. Some, the flower kind of is on the top and the petals are on the bottom, like there. Some, there's little spaces between, like kind of clusters of flowers. So you see you're kind of pushing out using your green, using your sort of, you know, ever darker green layers. This is called working the edges. We are going to the edge where one area meets the, where a darker area meets a lighter area, right? So that's where we're adding detail. I'm just going to go around the flowers with this lighter, with this smaller brush. As soon as I do that, in the front here, I'm going to switch over to my bigger brush. Because I'll go crazy trying to cover my whole paper. And so will you with this smaller brush, right? So I'm only really using it to preserve my lights. I could also use this brush now that my yellows are dry to add a kind of greener, a darker greeny red layer on the bottom of some of my yellow centers, because there's quite a bit dark, it's lighter on the top. In fact, I could also go, I could really add a darker yellow. Here I'm going in and adding cadmium yellow on the top to really push. And then I go back to, so I've only just dealt with the bottom ones here, just doing this one step at a time. Now I'm taking green mixed with red, and I'm going to my bigger brush, and I can add in stems, right? I can add in, I can kind of go around. So wherever there's a lighter area, I can kind of go around in with my bigger brush. It's okay if it's not even, it shouldn't be looking even. It's sort of organic. There's like twists and turns and in some places, right? Like there's a little dripping, there's a little bit of grass kind of going across the whites. So you can see how I'm using my, in some areas here, I'm using my dark, and you'll just keep adding texture, darkness and lightness. So that's how you're going to handle this whole thing, right? We're going to go in here. Maybe I should have done like smaller because there's a lot to cover. I don't want to go over the whites exactly. So when I go to these back areas, I'm once again kind of leaving little clusters. I'm bringing my green in and leaving little groups of light. It's the same here. Yep. I definitely want to get darker in here. When I get back up here, well, I'm going to wait on that. I want you guys to work the front, and then we'll start working, and so will I. I'll keep on working the front.
Yeah, can I send you my dog?
Sure.
Shall I send you a picture of a dog as well?
Yes, please.
I'm sort of, it said, I don't know what to think. You know, it's at a stage where you don't know whether you botched it up or not.
Yeah, I totally, that's my job, is to get you past that. I get it. I get there myself.
So Leah,
So
it's yellow, and around here, darker version that we had used with lots of yellow in it, is it?
I couldn't hear you, honey. Can you say that again?
Yeah. So outside the boundary of the yellow color should be the darker green, right?
Yeah.
With yellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry if you don't mix all the exact same green every time. That's not the point here. The point is that we have variations within. And hang on, Sandra, I'll be right there. I'm just trying to get to a point where people are feeling pretty good. We can work, and then I'm going to take a look. All right. So this is kind of the base. It's where most of the detail is going to go. Oh, that I'll tell you, proportionally, it's great. Just get your shadows in. So the you need to get your dramatic shadows in. So get your gray in on your left side. That's going to make you feel.
I was wondering whether I'd gone too dark on the left side already, but
Nope.
I haven't.
No, absolutely not. You're way not.
Okay,
dark.
good.
It's a pretty dramatic mix. If you look at this as a black and white, it's very strong. The dark.
Okay, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah. Push your, it's almost always, it's a push or contrast. You know, essentially we're doing the same thing here. We're pushing contrast.
Thanks, Leah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of work to do. All of your greens should have some red in them. Whichever red you want to mix, it could be burnt sienna, it can be macadone, it can be cad red. All your greens should have some red in them. None of them are going to be, you can see now I'm starting to get a little bit darker.
By the way, do you use raw amber, and when do you use that as opposed to something
I
else?
don't use it really.
You do or you don't?
I don't, but it's often used as an underpainting.
I find it works well for shadow, but it looks a bit green to me.
Yeah, it is a little green.
Oh.
That's why I don't use it. But I know a lot of people who swear by it. You know, there's artists who swear by it. It just depends on kind of how
I guess the advantage it has is that it's not it's cold. It's cold.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, I find it to be, yes, it's a cooler color. That's true. It's a base, yeah, but yeah, you know, I like a warmer. I think that's what it is. I like a kind of warmer.
No, so do I, but sometimes you do need a bit of cold as well. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I know a guy who does a lot of, I know a really good portrait painter who does all of his bases in raw umber. That's his.
Oh, really? Well.
Yeah, and he paints like, you know, in one setting, right? So if you're wanting to paint a portrait in one setting, this is how you do it.
Leon, why don't you want you outside?
This is a very pet-friendly class.
Yeah.
All about
nice, Emma. That's looking beautiful. I like how you're not getting, I like your mark making a lot. So you might not be feeling great about this, but I think it's working well. So really great, you guys. I'm doing some streaky marks and some soft sort of I'm doing some cooler greens, some like, I really like these soft edges that I'm seeing. Toshleen and Emma in particular, all of you on some level. It's beautiful. You can see that once you get that in, we don't really need to draw every blade of grass, right? The thing about watercolor is we can see the mark, like if I do something like that, I can really see it clearly. So I can just keep layering darker colors in. And then as I come back here, I'm going to start bringing in some color around the edge and letting little groups. See this? So as I come up here, I'm not really dealing with individual white flowers anymore. I'm more like trying to sort of create using vertical and horizontal, sort of soft and like hard horizontal strokes. I'm trying to leave little bits of white as I bring in my dark greens. And I'm also starting to bring in some of that into the, up here, right, into my sky. So I'm trying to now create a more unified grass field by getting these greens everywhere. The greens all have red in them. There's not one green that doesn't have red in it. You don't have
So,
to.
Leah,
What?
I remember you've been saying that. So for instance, manufacturers, when they make green, why don't they put red in?
They do, they just don't do it well.
Oh, okay.
An attempt to do it, but they just, you know, it's just one of those things you can't really, nature is not something you can manufacture. Interesting. But notice we can do, as we get kind of higher up, I don't have to show so much detail, right? So I'm letting kind of little bits of white come through here. I'm kind of nipping in my, but I'm not having to go so detailed as I am down here. I am, this is really dark. Emma, I think you're doing splendidly. It must be the space that you're in is allowing for that to come through. And notice as things dry, they get a little bit darker. A lighter, sorry. There's my backwards brain again. So I'm coming back in and adding, you know, kind of a few more darks in places. Some up and down strokes to show grass, of other softer strokes. Doesn't matter if your greens are kind of the same. You don't want them to be the same. You want them to be different.
So the green is viridian green plus yellow and red, is it?
As I said, yeah, different yellows, different layers of color. Yep. You can try, I mean, I think Rashmi was trying burnt sienna instead. That could work also. So you see how I'm like getting in, I'm just darkening as I need to dark. I'm not drawing every blade of grass. And then you're going to do, of course, the same thing. Oh yeah, and you want to bring your greens up close and tight around your poppies. Red. Right, because we really would like to push those forward, and then you can kind of spread it out a little bit. You kind of pull that up so that it doesn't look like a splotch. So you see how we're kind of gradually layering green upon green upon green, where we're always, instead of getting too overwhelmed of trying to draw every detail, we're more looking at like, where does a green, where does a red meet a green, right? Where does red meet green? Because that's an area of high contrast. Do I have it dark enough around my, so that my reds really start to pop? When I added this latest green, which is more viridian, cooler than the others, less yellow, more, I can bring some of that green in here. Yeah, it's starting to look kind of nice. So with these kind of purpley flowers, you may want to go back to your little brush for this. You want like a kind of darker color again at the base. So I mix purple and blue, ultramarine blue, right? So once again, all of these flowers have this kind of darker base because it's, you know, it's kind of in the shadow. I'm literally just kind of mixing a darker purple and adding that in. I'm not even really looking at this point, although I might want to. And I may want to add some like kind of lighter blue. I might want to like add some blue in here. Like a different, like I cut this turquoise. Let's see what that looks like if I do it. Much right now, right? But I could kind of layer in, I don't really like that. Maybe this sort of darker purple up here, you know. But what I'm trying to do is create a bottom and a top for each of these flowers. And the flowers are, the bottom is always a little bit darker. So see how that gives just kind of a little solid base. And see how I kind of brought in a lot of, oh yeah, this is starting to look nice. Yep. I brought in a bunch of greens, but not entire. There's still little areas of light, little groups of light coming through here. Pushing red. Right back in. I'm using, because I've got this little brush out to work on those little flower edges, I'm using it also to provide some, the green, some different mark making, right? Because it's a different size brush, so it creates a different size. I want to make sure all my, these stems aren't going the same direction, right? They're all kind of coming up here. I can also see tiny bits of red up in the grass as it peeks out. So I'm adding a little bit of cadmium red to my green and kind of pulling that up into some of the grass shapes. Add some nice variation. At this point, I feel like you can kind of riff a little bit based on the colors that you're seeing, right? Because you've got the technique down. The last thing we'll do, of course, is maybe add some touches of white if you happen to have tube white. If you don't worry about it, but like the tube white, what's kind of nice about it is that we can kind of pull out a few of our white flowers, which we might have lost in the exuberance of getting in grains. You know what I mean? It's looking kind of pretty.
Yeah.
It's all about the idea. So here, I'm going to take a picture of where this is right now, and then I'm going to, Ani, that looks great. Tashween, wonderful. Maybe we'll use this one, Tashween. No pressure. That's the moment that you make something, you screw up, right? Because somebody's like, hey, let's use this one and showcase it before you're halfway done. When you're only halfway done. Wonderful. So even though, I wouldn't call this an easy picture, right? I would say that there are easier things about that if you deal with things in pieces, it's manageable. Whereas if you start getting overwhelmed in all the detail, right? You let the kind of layers sit on top of each other to build. So we don't need so much detail because we've got these beautiful layers. Kind of going over with a little bit of just plain old ultramarine blue and my purple flower in places. Not everywhere because some parts are light, but I wanted kind of a little bit of a, I could try that. Oh, so, oh yeah, that was even nicer, although intense. I'm not sure I like that. Practice like kind of layering different colors on top of each other. You'll see it's in layering, right? Like a lot of the detail because watercolor lays down unevenly. So there's all of this detail that just happens naturally when you take a brush, add water and paint to it, and then put it on the paper. And if you feel like you're, and then the last thing we'll do, let's see, here's my white, is if you have tube white, you can kind of tap in some whites. Oh, no, that's cooking. Somewhere. Let me see that. You want it to be wet, so you really want it to have a nice pile of the wet stuff. Try and lay it down. Although you could maybe get it wet. Tube white's getting a little, oh, it's more, it's not as wet as it used to be. So I don't know if you can see this, but this, I'm back to my little brush again. This is like heavy duty enough that I can actually pick up some of the white without really, it's a teeny bit of water. And then I can come in and kind of sketch it in a few places. Oh wait, you can't really see that. So I can kind of add the white back in. See, not too much. I don't need too much. But if I want my white to kind of showcase, this is one of the nice things that you can do. I can even come back in here a little bit and I don't want too much. Kind of lost this. So see, I'm adding kind of little bits. And this is an easy thing to overdo, so you don't want to do too much of it, but some little bright streaks can like help once again emphasize. See how that kind of pushes the white back forward again? So once again, this is called working the edges. it's the master lesson that I've been working with you all on the entire time, which is that we don't paint everything. We only paint where one edge meets another edge, right? We only paint, we're trying to create some light edges against the dark, soft edges against hard. And you'll find if you focus on kind of the big, and we did more work down here because this area was kind of closer to us, right?
Taking a break. I'm leaving you guys. I sent you my last version.
Okay. It's looking really good. I can bring in a few lights back here. See how I can sort of add those lights back in, but in this very loose way, and kind of this very thick watercolor paint. In July, I have to go to a funeral. It's sad. My uncle died recently. And it's on a Thursday and a Friday. So I'm thinking we may try, I'm thinking about hiring my kids teacher to teach you about gouache because she's doing a lot of work.
Yes.
And I
Yes, please.
You might enjoy the sort of, so gouache is kind of between, so watercolor is transparent. Gouache is a little bit more opaque. Oil and acrylic are the most opaque. Right?
But they're not a water medium. Oh, I guess, no, they're not.
Acrylic is.
Right.
So really, it'll be kind of a neat, I think it'll be a neat, yeah, I think this is looking kind of nice. It's pretty. So I was thinking I might hire her to teach you while I'm gone. So prep for that idea. You have some gouache, pick it up. Gouache is often like a kid's paint, right? So you'll often find it in kids' sets if you've got it around. You're, of course, perfectly welcome to work with watercolor as well. Now that I'm looking at this, I want to add some kind of pretty, I'm taking my just red in this pen and kind of outlining the edges a little bit to have my flower stand out a little bit more. I'm putting in a hard edge. I'm not loving it. Yeah, I think that helps. So pretty. Once you've got some of those whites in, you could go back with the same paintbrush and add in a few green swoops in here. I'm going to add some going all the way up. You can also see there are certain lines and shapes that correct the foreground, which is down here with the background. And one of those things is these long grassy bits. So if you want to bring a few in, oops, green. You want to bring a few in, kind of some going this way, up here, right? From down here into up here, that will help create a sense of cohesion between your foreground and your background, right? There are certain strokes. They kind of carry all the way through. So you don't have such a feeling of, like I'm looking right here, it looks a little bit like I've blocked this out separately. So I'm going to bring in some grasses that kind of cut through everything. And I also use my bigger brush. See how I'm kind of coming down in, through, and out so that there's lines that will, even though we've worked these areas differently,
Can I just tell you on that front, Leah, the day that I took the photo, the wind was blowing. So some of the stems were at like quite a different angle.
Yeah, right? But they always are. Even when the wind isn't blowing, they're always at a totally different angle. They're always like this and that, and you know what I mean? That's like the thing about grass. It's kind of haywire. So Emma, how's it going out there? Are you pleased secretly?
Or not secretly?
Or not secretly? Sort of surprisingly pleased? I kind of like this.
It's all right, but yeah. I think that my poppies have turned out all right, and the flowers in the foreground, but I feel like the middle's a bit of a mess. I'll send you the later.
I'm pulling off my tape just to give me, yeah, there you go. I thought it wasn't done, then I pulled off the tape and I'm like, oh, I think that's way more done. Definitely look nice. You're definitely in challenging conditions there. I think this is a great thing to practice. Oh, Emma, it's lovely. I think you're in better shape than you think. Bring in a few more grasses kind of going on the top here. And Nina, nice. So Nina, the only thing I'm seeing here is that you want to see the transition from here, hold on. See the transition from here to here? It's like here and lighter here. So take some of those darks and go up into this area so that, right? So that I don't see this solid. That's the challenge. You broke it up into pieces, any marks that will go through, that will kind of connect. That will start. Oh, nice, Ani. And Ani added in.
Thank you.
I think you handled that really well. How do you? I'm just looking to see. Is there any way to push the color?
Thank you. Right now I'm painting a little pose, so I take a break from poppies.
Yeah. You got it. All right. Wonderful. Nina, I like this. It's very expressive, and I feel like you handled got all these areas in really nicely. Good job, you guys. This is a toughie, and as you see, although there's a technique involved in terms of how to think about it, there's a lot of different ways. Tashmin, that's gorgeous. So Tashmin, the only thing I'm seeing that's bothering me right now, can you see up here? There's this white. So bring some grasses, not that kind of start at the top of the red flower and go through.
Okay.
So you see, I noticed that edge because it's right next to the red flower. So if there's kind of this mushy white, it looks like a block. So we want to get rid of the sense of any blocks. So we created groups, now we're getting rid of them, right? So take some streaky lines. Nice. Nice, gorgeous. Ha. Maybe it'll be this one. Good job, you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to send you my dog again. Instead of finding this easier and easier, I'm finding it harder and harder.
Well, it's because you're integrating. I think what's happening is you're finally starting to, your drawing is starting to improve. So now, now you're incorporating that into your painting, which is a whole other level of things.
I guess it's the painting finding harder and harder.
Oh yeah, it's coming along, but don't be afraid of the darks. It's still here. I'm gonna take a picture of this so you can see. I love the darks underneath the head and underneath the ear on our left, but I'm gonna save this
because they're cooler. The one on the right is a bit too. It's a burnt sienna, and I shouldn't have used sienna. It's a bit too colorful.
Nope, that's not the problem.
Oh.
Haven't gone dark enough. So I'm going to send it to me so I can, I'm gonna do a black and white of it so that you can see what the problem is. It's not about color, it's about value. Needy, that looks beautiful. Lovely. Great.
Do you want the original, Leo? Shall I do the original?
Nope. Nope, I have it. I'm just trying to get this made so you can see it in black and white. Like I have
Sandra, this dog is beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. But it doesn't look beautiful to me, and it's for a very important person, so I'm afraid of botching it up.
And it's due tomorrow, technically. Is this one of the people who helped you with your cancer?
She's the woman who helped me most.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Was that the woman who came to class?
With me once. No. This is she used to be the former LA bureau chief, Mary Milliken. And now she's in Washington. She had a black lab before. She sat in chemo with me when it was in the snow. She drove me when I had my chemo port installed. She drove me. I mean, you know. So her husband helped me clean the pond. I mean,
you're gonna see the problem when I send it to you in black and white.
I'm now looking at that picture in black and white, and I can see that it needs to be much almost black.
Put your darks on your side. See, I'll show it to you. Look at it. See, if you look at the drawing is great. If you look at this, you cannot tell the difference between the lights and the darks. On the dark side, there's a very distinct dark side. So now you got to go darker.
So it's the left. So it's not so much the shadows under the ears, but it's the left side of the face.
The whole left side of the face is darker than the whole right.
Okay, because I liked, this is where I used raw umber, and I really liked what it did, but maybe it's not enough.
It's not enough. Mix raw umber with something else.
Raw umber with blue, you mean?
Red.
With what?
With something that's a little bit red.
Like burnt sienna, you mean?
Try it.
Okay.
No, I mean, try like a little red. Like, remember, if raw umber is green, or, you know, because the dog is yellow, I would mix actually yellow and purple together to make a shadow color.
Okay, thank you.
So,
because I did that and it looks a bit kind of purple.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be purple.
Thanks, Leah. I'll continue tomorrow.
Nice. And I'm here if you want to keep sending it to me over the day.
Thank you. I don't know how much longer I'll work on it today, but I still have tomorrow's session to finish it. I'm seeing her tomorrow night. It doesn't matter if I haven't finished, but ideally.
You want to have it finished. I understand. It's great. You want to.
So any kind of yellow, lemon yellow, permanent yellow.
Beige.
Oh, really? Like an orange almost.
Yeah. And then you're going to water it down a lot once you mix it because it'll look too dark. So you're going to water it down and layer it in.
I've got Imperial Purple and New Gumbo, yes? Leah?
Yeah.
It looks like this. Isn't that a bit, is that okay, do you think? Or
No, it
more
should be darker, more purple.
So more purple.
Rashmi, that's looking nice. So Rashmi, now your job is to kind of get rid of these. I see what you're doing here. You have, so anywhere that you have sort of blocks, right? Lines that show blocks, you want to bring, like up here, where there's, it's like there's a little box around this thing. You want to bring color in. You want to have things going this way and this way. So anywhere, if you step back and you squint and you see up, it looks kind of blocky. I want to bring in more color, go closer to the edges. But very nice. Very, very nice. So yeah, guys, start sending in your photos of stuff you want to do.
Thanks, everybody. I've got to go.
Oh, Tosh, that's pretty. Bye. Bye. Thank you, Emma. That was a great source.
Thank you, Emma.
I'm so glad you all did it.
Nice.
Bye.
Lovely. Enjoy. Just lay with the flowers, Emma. Lay in the flowers.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Really interesting. Just keep layering. I like it. It's very, I like your, get a little bit more red into your greens as you're continuing to layer in. Add in a little bit of lighter blue on top of those purple dark bases. But I like what's happening here. Very, very you as always. So Tosh, your job in the next hour is to get me some pieces that you are feeling really proud of, and I'm gonna pick the best one to put, okay? And then the other thing I'd like you to do is just type in 1 or 2 sentences about what these art classes mean to you, why they, how they're important. Thinking about how you would encourage somebody else in your office to try it, right? Like, what would you say to somebody to make them want to try it? Oh, Emma, lovely. That turned out great. I love all of these. These are fantastic, you guys. So great. Let's see, have I seen everyone's? Natalia, how's yours? I haven't seen yours yet. Coming along?
Yeah, I guess a bit of a mess, but I can send it.
Sandra, I want to tell you that this is the best drawn dog I have seen you do. So get that, like, you're pushing up in skill level. So that feeling of like, that sort of disoriented feeling of like, oh, it's harder, is because you have a higher expectation of yourself now, right? You have more things that you're trying to get done and more things that you know. It's funny, ignorance is bliss. Kind of not knowing very much is like kind of, because you just blow off whatever you don't really want to know. But once you know more, there is this feeling of going backward, but that is actually part of the going forward process, because you're integrating everything you know and trying to apply it kind of across the board.
Oh, good.
Because
yeah, I'll be dropping up now.
Okay, right, we're actually 15 minutes over time anyway. So great work, everybody. Let me.
Is that better, Leah?
Yeah. There. Now you're starting to get there. Yep. And it's all under the nose. All under, right. Yes, that's where you're starting to go. All right, you guys. Wonderful work today. You're doing so great. Send me pictures. I don't know what we're gonna do at beginning drawing yet. Maybe another animal. So
no, because I have to do this dog. I don't want to miss an animal.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, I haven't decided yet. If anybody has ideas, send them my way. And starting in July, the beginning drawing class on Saturday will move back 1/2 hour. So it'll start a half an hour earlier, wherever you are. Okay, you guys, we'll see you soon. Bye. Great work, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Watching the puppy, Rashmi.
Yeah.